back with Bobby and JJ Radio. We're talking about the behind the scenes, all the people that make everything happen in a real estate transaction. We're about to talk with Tokheim. He works with Alamo Title. He's assistant vice president for the company. He's been in title for 12 years. Here in the San Antonio metro area alone, he oversees 100 title agents, and he's a really good friend of ours. How you doing,
Assistant vice
president? Doing very well. I'm so happy to be here. I've been waiting a long time to be on the show.
Bobby's mom told me he could be president, but it was of an HOA one day, and that was the highest aspirations that she ever had for him.
I didn't get elected.
No,
but it
was not too late.
That's impressive.
It is impressive.
Great title.
I know, for a title company, which is in itself
a great
the
title.
bee's knees. Okay, so Shane, what does a title company do for buyers?
For a buyer, really just gives them peace of mind to let them know they're buying a property that is free and clear of any liens.
So if someone went and did some work on the house, let's say in 1985, and they did a roof and they don't get paid, they usually put a lien on it.
Exactly.
And so when a buyer's going to buy it from me or a seller, they want to make sure there's no liens or judgments.
Exactly. Now there's some that are foreclosable and some aren't. That one, of course, wouldn't be, but it still has to be paid. So
the liens that are foreclosable are usually like
tax liens, mortgage lien.
Yeah. Gotcha.
In a situation where somebody would come in and try to get paid on a lien, would insurance or the title company step in and cover that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Once it's closed, that's what basically we're ensuring, that there's no lien. So if in a month or 2 years or 10 or 20 years, if somebody comes and knocks on the front door and said, hey, I had a lien on this, that's where the insurance comes in and pays that lien, pays that policy.
So why is it so important for a seller?
For a seller, really more than anything, it's just because it's mandated by the state. If somebody's getting a mortgage, you have to get insurance. So it's required, but it's also, they're ensuring that they're giving a property free and clear.
Free and clear, I got you. So, and how does the title company determine if the title is completely valid?
Well, we go to our plant, which is just basically a bunch of people at their computers researching, and we can research back to the day that property was platted. Alamo Title's been in San Antonio for 93 years or so we have the records going back that far. If it's already closed once at Alamo, we can only go back. We can go back to just when it was closed, but we can go all the way back if necessary.
Is it true that your headquarters is at the Alamo?
Alamo, we have an office down there
in the basement.
That's where I spend a lot of my time.
In the basement where Pee Wee Herman parks his bike.
That's right.
All right, cool. So, when does a title company determine? I'm sorry. When do you meet with a title agent when you're in the real estate transaction? Yeah,
the buyer or the seller. It depends. Generally, it's going to be at the day of closing.
Sure.
A seller or the buyer may come in and meet them if they have to drop off, whatever documents they need to get to the title company. They could meet them at that time. But generally speaking, they're going to probably just meet them the day of closing.
Day of closing. But you guys have a lot of information about all of your title agents online. You have bios.
Absolutely.
You have the resumes, and you know who you're working with.
Right.
And that's why I love
you
guys.
Who would normally pick which title agent or title company we work with?
I pick.
Usually you guys, the general public isn't going to know, like what you're saying, who to pick. So we rely on our people, the agents and the lenders, to pick. And generally it's the list agent, but as everything on a contract, it's negotiable.
Sure.
But generally the list agent.
Our team is notorious for picking Alamo Title,
yes,
right?
Yes,
and so that's why we've known you for a long time. But we do it for many reasons, not only because you're so dashing and
handsome
and whatever,
charming.
Charming. But it's really because you guys give the best service. I feel like you make the transaction a lot smoother. You're all of the communication from your team is spot on. You go and pick up earnest and option money. You do a lot of stuff. You go above and beyond what a lot of title companies do, and that's why we always put you on the contract. Of course, we don't win every time, but we win a good amount of the time, so that helps everyone out there, I think. So if a seller, if you can't use an existing survey, what happens? So a survey is needed in a transaction. I know you guys deal with that portion of the transaction. So what happens if the survey that they have is not usable?
Oh, then they have to buy a new one. But those things are negotiable in the contract too. It has to be acceptable to us and to the mortgage company. But there's a lot of times where, since Alamo Title does do a lot of closings in San Antonio, probably like 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4.
Wow.
We may have it in our records. If for example, your seller has lost their survey, or they don't know where it's at, or they don't want to look for it, whatever the case may be,
sure,
they can contact us and we'll look up that property, and we may have it. With all the regulations, we have to destroy files after a certain amount of time, so we don't have them all. But now with technology, again, we're going to be scanning everything, so we'll have them going forward.
Right.
So if that ever happens to your client or any agent's client, we can look it up, the property, and we may have that survey on hand.
And when you're talking about that, the survey needs to be up to your standard. It's you, the title company, to issue the policy to make sure that there's no liens and judgment. And then the mortgage company also has to okay the survey as well.
All we're really looking for, you can use it going back as far as you want to. What we're looking for is if there's been any changes made to that survey.
Sure.
And if there hasn't, then we can use it, and they're gonna verify that at closing.
And those are like structural changes, like
Right.
extending a patio or
Permanent, anything permanent.
Sure, I got you.
So I know right before closing, you guys hand out a HUD-1 settlement statement. Can you just go over what a HUD-1 settlement statement is?
Well, a HUD-1 settlement statement is regulated by the state. It's the same at every title company. And what it does is break down each cost for the buyer and the seller. Obviously the seller's going to want to know what they're going to net, and that'll be on there. And each cost, some sellers and buyers get very, into that,
Sure.
which they should be, and so they can see exactly where every one of their dollars is going.
Right. So it's like a debit and credit of every single thing on there.
Exactly.
And you see who's paying what or who's debiting or getting credited what.
So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Bobby and JJ Radio. We're with Shane.tokheim with Alamo Title Company. Best title rep in San Antonio, is that it?
That's what I'm understanding.
So in a standard transaction, what would a buyer and a seller need to provide to the title company as far as information?
Well, really, the buyer is going to work more closely with their mortgage lender, so they're going to give all their information, and it's quite a bit of information, and we'll get it from then the mortgage company. The seller, really, all we need from them is the last 4 digits of their social security number. We don't get the whole thing anymore, and then their payoff information, where their current mortgage is, because we're going to need that. We'll be the ones paying off that current mortgage.
So you guys are in contact with the mortgage company a lot.
We will be. As soon as it goes under contract, they will contact us and ask for a title commitment, and in 2 to 5 business days, we'll have that back to them, and then we go for there on that side of it. So for the seller, really, they're just we'll get their payoff information. We don't really contact them until the day of closing.
Yeah, but sometimes there's aliases that people have, right?
Yes.
So there's people that come up, like Bobby Slippery Pete. For some
Yes,
reason.
exactly. Bobby Cortez is going to, Robert Cortez, if you pulled that up in San Antonio, obviously there's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
So there
a
may
lot
be
of children. Juniors, the thirds.
Yes, exactly. So there may be a lot of liens that aren't actually affiliated with that property.
Right.
So we're going to eliminate those and have the real Robert Cortez sign off that that's not him. And we really know that it's not, but we have to have to sign anyway.
Sure. So you guys we're talking about the behind the scenes stuff. See, buyers and sellers don't realize all this stuff is happening. And you guys take a big heavy load of the back end stuff. You make us look good.
Right.
You make, the lenders look good, but you guys do a lot of stuff that people don't actually realize. They just see you at the very end and you're like, what was your involvement? But they have no idea that you're pretty much carrying the transaction on your own shoulders. And so that's what this show is all about, is talking about the real back end, players, the people that won the championship, the Boris Diaz. And all
That's
that.
right.
How about at the final closing table? What all documents would a buyer and a seller have to sign to finish the transaction?
Well, the buyer is going to, depending on, of course, if there's a loan on the property, the buyer is going to have what I consider a lot of documents to sign. It all comes from the mortgage company. We get the instructions from them, and then we work up the HUD-1 settlement statement like we talked about earlier. But all of those numbers, everything is coming from the mortgage company. So the buyer has quite a few documents to sign. And with today's regulations, a lot of it's just redundant, ensuring that they're not going to default on that loan. The seller, they just have a very few documents. They're going to have to sign the deed, and they also have to sign the settlement statement. But very few documents, and those, of course, are generated by us or by our attorneys.
And the buyers are also signing something that gets filed at the Bexar County Courthouse.
Absolutely, the deed is going to be filed, and we'll file that for them.
So you guys are getting all this preparation done. So you have obviously lawyers on staff, and what you guys do is really the doc preparation at the end is a lot. It's insurmountable because you're trying to get everything to the lender, and the lenders have their own documents. You guys have, state regulated documents. Real estate companies have documents that we need signed, like buyers walkthrough and inspection forms. And I don't think what people realize is how much document preparation it takes. and how much you guys are working on it. And not only that, the numbers itself, we kind of casually say, there's a HUD-1 statement and everyone's debited and credited normally. But all those numbers go into what you guys do in the back end. I think is what I want people to realize, that you guys do a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And so in a quick takeaway, Shane, what separates Alamo Title from other title companies?
Well, as in most service companies, it's customer service. I mean, we are the largest title company in the nation, in the state, and in San Antonio. And we do that by hiring good people.
Sure.
Customer service is what it really comes down to. Like you said before, you work with me because, yes, we're friends, but also in the end, that I'm going to give you good customer service. Whenever you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I say it's going to be done, it's going to be done. And, as you guys both know, in your business too, customer service is what we have to offer.
And that's all you can do.
In Shane we trust.
In Shane we
That's
trust.
right.
That's on our banner here. Yeah, so Shane Tokheim with Alamo Title Company. If you want to get a hold of him, you can go to shane.tokheim at fnf.com, or you can get a hold of him personally at 210-363-5126.
His
Again,
cell phone.
I'm
That's
giving it
correct.
out.
That's out.
Ladies, take note. 363-5126. We're going to be right back with Megan Saunders, and she works with Fidelity Home Warranty. Don't move an inch. This is Bobby and JJ Radio.